AI Finance Daily, where artificial intelligence meets your money. Today's question, the EU AI Act. What compliance will actually cost U.S. businesses operating in Europe? Businesses operating in Europe must prepare for the EU AI Act. The upfront costs could be staggering. Estimates suggest compliance could run into millions for larger enterprises. What does this mean for U.S. companies? You might think the complexities of GDPR were bad enough. But this new framework introduces an entirely different level of regulatory scrutiny. Let's start with the fact that the EU AI Act categorizes AI systems into various risk levels. For high-risk applications, companies need to demonstrate compliance across a broad set of mandates before deployment. This isn't just an exercise in paperwork. The testing and validation alone could consume considerable resources. Companies like Microsoft and Google are already facing scrutiny with their AI offerings, and we're only at the starting line. Diving deeper, analysts indicate the cost of compliance isn't just what you see on the surface. You'll need to factor in indirect costs as well, such as the operational inefficiencies that come from shifting workflows to accommodate regulatory requirements. For example, change management processes often get sidelined in the rush to innovate. But the stark reality is improper management can amplify costs and delay returns. Consider this. A recent study from the European Commission suggested that 37% of AI projects in Europe may fail to yield a return on investment due to unforeseen regulatory challenges. This is more than just context. This is a glaring indicator of the hurdles your initiatives could face. Why is this happening? The European Union is determined to become a global leader in ethical AI. The intent is noble, but it complicates the operational landscape for the businesses that drive economic growth. The Act aims to regulate not just how AI is deployed, but how it learns and adjusts over time. This means the language used to describe your algorithms and datasets will be subject to intense scrutiny. However, it's crucial to peel back the layers of compliance. The unit economics here are being deliberately obscured. You may find that the cost of compliance runs far deeper than software expenses. Companies often overlook the need for skilled personnel who understand both the technology and the legal framework. A workforce adequately trained to navigate these waters is not only an asset, it's a legal necessity. For many, this brings us to an unsettling revelation. The gap between compliance and profitability may widen. The high predictability of regulatory fines means that many companies will face cash flow issues if they fail to comply promptly. This isn't an isolated problem. Firms like IBM have already disclosed increased spending on compliance, burdening their earnings reports. Now, let's talk about what's at stake personally. For compliance officers and risk directors, your decisions could shape the financial future of your organization. If you believe that oversight can be handled after deployment, you risk severe penalties, adjustments to your balance sheet that could haunt you for years. To make it tangible, let's say you're a mid-sized tech firm considering expansion into Europe. You might estimate your compliance costs at $500,000, but what if, amid a blind push to innovate, you miss additional costs of change management? Those could easily nudge you toward the $1 million mark before you know it. Ultimately, understanding the decisions that separate the 20% of compliant firms from the 80% that stumble is critical. First, invest in legal and compliance expertise early. Second, evaluate your systems for AI deployment to account for ongoing regulatory changes from the outset. And third, foster a culture of compliance in your organization to ensure every team understands the implications of these regulations. Are you ready to lock in those adjustments? As the EU AI Act rolls out, you need a strategy that not only complies, but also builds a sustainable business model. Just remember, these figures and forecasts are drawn from publicly available data. Always verify before making any financial decision. This content is for educational purposes and not financial advice. That's AI Finance Daily for today. If this made you see something differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. See you next episode.